and welcome back to a very croaky football talk from myself. I'm joined by Josh. I'm back as well. Everybody, hello. Obviously, I've missed the last 2 weeks. How long have I been away, Josh? What's happened?
Just 1 week, Dave.
Just 1 week.
Just 1 week. I feel like I'll be holding the fort today. Dave's a little bit hungover, from he had 2 beers last night, so he's in a bit worse for wear. But we'll cobble this through, and we're back to business as usual now, Dave, aren't we? This is a review podcast of the weekend's football. Both of us back here chatting business as usual, except you're hungover. We're normally quite restrained. We don't normally go out boozing,
I know,
and wake up hungover. But we're lads, just 2 young, early 30s lads.
Yeah, that is. I don't feel like I'm in my early 30s. I feel like I'm about 60 today. Oh man! But I was
you sound it.
Yeah. I was at. It was a 30th birthday yesterday. That's why I got really drunk. So because I was celebrating someone else being.
Is that what you do with 30-year-old birthdays? Only 30 birthdays. You go, it's 30th birthday. I need to get really drunk. I don't care what you're doing. It's not even a party. Oh, just dinner with your parents. Right, I'm getting really drunk anyway.
I'm getting hammered. Anyway, it is good to be back. I did miss it when I was away. Holiday was obviously very.
What were you doing in Vietnam, Dave?
Just travelling around, seeing shit, like seeing war stuff and seeing all sorts of eating.
You like your history, don't you, Dave? You studied history at A level, did you?
I did, yeah. I do like my history. So as does my wife as well. So it's a very good. It's an amazing place to go because it's more obviously it for a war rather than the country itself. But it's very,
do I?
Well, most people do, don't you? Like you say Vietnam and you
true.
think of the war rather than the country. But it's it's a fascinating place. Absolutely brilliant. And the food is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Lovely.
But yeah, this is sorry, Rude for those listening is my dog. I don't have Rude Van Nistelrooy just kept in my house. He's just sort of put his head around the door.
Locked in his cellar.
Yeah, just like put his head around the door to figure out what's going on because he can hear me talking and obviously can't anyone else talking back, so he probably thinks I'm an absolute nutter. But anyway, it's great to be back. Did miss the podcast. Let's get into it, Josh, and we'll start with the news. So what news items have you got for me?
Do you know what? I actually wanted to start on something random. GCSE results this week in England, and I wondered if you remembered your GCSE results day or your GCSEs at all. Because I don't know, we may have some listeners who just got their GCSE results, and I struggled to remember when picking up the results. What were your results? Do you remember?
I think I got, most of them were B, I think. I got 1A in something. I didn't do brilliantly. I guess that's pretty good.
No,
but,
yeah.
Yeah.
I did kind of average as well, yeah.
I'm struggling. I've had no reason to think about GCSEs since.
No, you wouldn't have been here every year with the news about the radio. Go results down like, oh yeah, of course it was. Yeah. No, I remember my A levels more, but GCSEs I remember the results, but I don't remember the results or how I felt about them. I think I I got 1 A star, 7 Bs, 2 Cs, and a D. I remember.
Oh, what was the A star in?
A star was in IT, and the D was in French. And do you know why I got a D in French?
Because you can't speak French.
No, I was all right actually, but my teacher in the oral exam, she rewound the tape because I messed up, and so everybody on that tape got 0, and it brought my overall mark down to a D.
That is shocking.
Fun.
Yeah, that is really bad. I'm trying to think what I got. Yeah, it was mainly because I think I got 1A. I think I got an A in science or double science or whatever it is that we took at school. For those that don't know, Josh and I went to school together. That's how we're friends. Just clarify that. But obviously, our GCSEs were you just got the grades to get into the sixth form, didn't you? Like we had at school. That's what we were worrying about.
Yes.
But this isn't.
But I mean, if everybody has got their results,
yeah.
I just wanted to, in case everybody's got their results, well done on your results, and it doesn't act well. You still remember it a little bit, but it doesn't really matter as long as you get to that next step. But in football terms, news. Yes. I will hit it with Anderlecht. Have you seen what's happening with Anderlecht?
Oh, Vincent. We were so excited, weren't we? Player managers were coming back.
Yeah.
4 days,
and so it now seems
4 games.
Yeah, well, now 5 games in, they didn't win. He got injured this weekend, so he now may miss his own testimonial, which maybe he can focus more on management. But now there's also been a change of rules. So Company is now captain, and Simon Davies is now responsible for coaching and tactics off the pitch. And they also have a director of football who's responsible for transfers. So it really begs the question: what kind of managing is Vincent doing?
I imagine it's
so
like laying out cones and stuff at training.
Yeah, that's a
like
good point.
doing that sort of stuff.
Arm around the shoulder stuff. That's what he's
Yeah,
doing.
I mean, it's very strange that it's the on the field the management thing, subs and tactics during the game. That's the manager's thing. That's what a manager should do. So it's very strange that he's now becoming captain and managing on. So he's like a non-game day manager. Is that how it is?
Seems that way. I just thinking about that, subbing himself on. So, say he's on the bench, right, and and he does something at descent, and he gets sent to the stands.
Yeah.
He's manager and on the bench. Can he then bring himself onto the pitch, and sub himself on, and then just continue to just harass, do what he was doing, but on the pitch this time?
That's a very good question. I would assume he couldn't, but that's very interesting to know if there's a rule in the rule, like an actual sentence in the rule book which defines that as a rule. That's very interesting, Josh. Let us know if anyone knows. Can a player manager get sent to the stands as a manager but then come on the pitch as a player? Yeah,
or whether now the sent to the stands is effectively a sending off and it kind of avoids that. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But I've got a little bit of football news, but it's more of a sort of like a shock thing. Can you tell me, Josh, which team are currently bottom of the championship?
No. Who will it be, Dave?
Stoke City. They have lost.
Oh, Jack Butland's having a night right old torrid time.
They've lost 4 of 4 games. They've got a goal difference of -8. Sorry, they've lost 3 of 4 or something. They've got 1 point. They've drawn 1 game. Lost 4, drawn 1. Goal difference of -8. And this is Stoke City. And above them in 23rd is Huddersfield, who've obviously just gone down. It's like...
Yeah, we've just sacked their manager.
Yeah. The Championship is obviously a very tough division. We all know that. But I find that really bizarre. When you look at Stoke, their actual squad hasn't changed that much from when they were in the Premier League. And it's just crazy.
But as I mentioned, Jack Butland is having a right old torrid time. He conceded some shocking goals. The game just gone. It's just he looks a shadow of himself, and he's never really been the same since he had that ankle injury. But yeah, it's not nice to see that any player kind of having that horrid time. And they've actually in their defense, not in their defences in defending them, in their central defence, they've got a Spurs young centre back, Cameron Carter-Vickers, on loan, who should hopefully do quite well. But I think because didn't Ryan Shawcross suffer? It was this season, isn't it? It was suffered an injury, didn't he? And all the Arsenal fans came out going, "Good."
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I mean they did drop Jack Butland for the last game against Leeds, and they still conceded 3. So, and Carter Vickers played. He played 70 minutes, so he was on the pitch when they conceded all their goals. But yeah, it just surprised me to see Stoke really struggling in the Championship. Get Tony Pulis back. That's what you need. Big Tony.
Yeah, for what reason? Yeah. All right. Next in the news, I saw. We mentioned Dani Alves a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And how he chose the number 10 shirt.
Yes. We were really hoping he was going to play.
First game for Sao Paulo. First game for Sao Paulo. Plays him in the number 10 role. Scores a winner.
They actually played him in the number 10 role.
Well, maybe he played himself in the number 10 role.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's awesome. I saw he scored.
So we'll keep the old Dani Alves updates.
Yeah, I just assumed it was like an overlapping right back run. Overlapping one. Was it Juan Fran that's moved there as well? The right back?
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Like one of them overlapping each other to set the other one up would be amazing. But I'd love it if he actually played in the number 10 role. It'd be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Other things in the news. So Zinedine Zidane's gone a full 180 on Gareth Bale. Now going to keep him. Going to be a good part of the squad. Doesn't really make sense, but thoughts on that?
Not only keep him, he started yesterday as well with James.
Yeah, it's all a bit strange, isn't it? It's sort of like what's going on at Real Madrid. No one's who's in charge, who's making these decisions and things. It's very, very bizarre. When it's a club, they've always had a bit of a turbulence between manager and owner or chairman or president. I think is what they have, isn't it?
Yeah, president. Yeah.
But it's all very strange. Like why? Just don't. You shouldn't be starting players that you are so actively trying to sell in the window. It's like Man United playing Lukaku in the first game of the league if he was still there.
Well, it's more that you shouldn't be so public of your disdain for them.
Yeah.
Because then it makes it harder to reintegrate them and get them playing at a level. But no, I think Zinedine Zidane for me has acted poorly within the media, and has kind of almost cast some players aside. Now he's having to backtrack, which isn't a situation you want to be in as a manager.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, definitely. What else have you got for me in the news?
Harry Redknapp was chatting during the week, and he mentioned that his quote is, "People always talk about Manchester United producing a class of '92, but they weren't any better than the 6 boys we produced at West Ham: Ferdinand, Lampard, Cole, Carrick, Johnson, Defoe. If I kept those 6 players together, I'm certain I'd have won the Premier League." What do you reckon to that, Dave?
I, yeah, it's a sort of, if my auntie had bollocks, she'll be my uncle, wouldn't she? Because it's like, well, you didn't keep them all. I don't know. I don't think it's too.
My take is that the players are probably quite comparable. They're not as far adrift like in terms of one player versus other player. What they are far adrift at is the managerial element of this, and I think since it's more apparent since he's gone that the problem is it's not Sir Alex Ferguson. He's not Sir Alex Ferguson. That's the reason United excelled. The amount of average players that Sir Alex helped perform above their standard is phenomenal. I mean, you've got Darren Gibson's, John O'Shea's, Wes Brown's, Jonathan Greening's. You've got all these players. You can really reel off and go, how are they Man United players? Well, because Sir Alex Ferguson. So, yeah, Harry, you had pretty good players, but were you the manager to take them there? You'd have done better than you did if you hadn't sold them, but you weren't the manager to take them there, I don't think.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree. I don't think Harry Redknapp would have. Yeah, from a management point of view, I agree in the sense that the players are probably similar in terms of playing ability, but yeah, Harry Redknapp wouldn't be able to get the best out of them like Sir Alex did with all the players you listed. I was previously looking back on on Facebook they do this thing when it's like time hop or whatever it's called. So it's like 10 years ago you posted this on Facebook.
Yeah, your memories. Yeah.
Memories. That's it. And there was one in there where I was waxing lyrical about Darren Gibson. And I was reading it back, and I was like, "What on earth was I thinking? What was I watching? What game was it that I was watching where Darren Gibson was this Paul Scholes Mark II?" I thought, yeah, bloody hell, he was so bad.
That's the kind of level of insight and experience we have in we asked to here. One person thought Darren Gibson was the next best thing.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I'm sure I've done it the same.
I'm sure you have. Many a time. Right. Sorry, yes. We've covered VAR quite a lot. It's had its effect in Italy as well, with Ronaldo doing all of his big celebration and then the goal being ruled out by VAR, and it was all a bit strange. It's something we'll probably come on to later in the review of the weekend's fixtures so far. I saw you put out a poll, and you and Owen talked about it on the last podcast, but what's your initial thoughts in it for, 3 weeks into the season? 3 games. Everyone's played 3 games apart from a handful of teams that are playing today on Sunday. What do you think about VAR? Is it working?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's working. I think a lot of complaints have been with the rules, rule change. You intertwine rule changes and bring in VAR. But people just badge them all under one banner. I think it's going okay so far. I think it's just going to get better as the season goes on, as people as in fans get adjusted to it, as referees get adjusted to it, as players get adjusted to it. I think it's just early days, and I've been reasonably comfortable with it so far. I do get it, but I don't entertain it. But people go, "Oh, it's ruining the enjoyment." Like people aren't going to celebrate goals now because they've got to wait. It's like they are going to celebrate goals, and more often than not, those celebrations are going to be valid because they're going to be upheld. It's only very few goals are going to get ruled out for any reason. It's not like you get to a point where you can't celebrate. So I think it's not spoiling atmosphere. It's adding clarity and adding fairness. So I'm happy so far.
Okay, cool. Because I was thinking, like, with the introduction of VAR, the one thing it will rule out is when you had times. I'm trying to think of the game, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But there was times where it was someone scores and then they run off celebrating, and the referee disallows it, and they go up the other end, and the opposition score because everyone's too busy celebrating. It is going to ruin. Like, there won't be that element, and I miss that. I genuinely miss that in football, where it's like a quick free kick. I like quick free kicks. I like it when they're taken, and I like that fact that it was someone in the Championship like last year, 2 seasons ago, and they scored. And our whole team basically ran off celebrating, and the ref had ruled it out, so they took a quick free kick, went up the other end, and it was like 5 on the goalkeeper, and it was really funny. And it suddenly made.
That can still happen, though.
No, how can it? Because the goal every goal is checked by VAR, and they can't carry on the play because the ref is checking with VAR.
Well, if the referee is already ruled out because of what he knows, then the VAR, what does VAR have to do at that point? Or would referee never now rule it out?
Well, I think
catch it.
Well, they're encouraging, like linesmen and stuff are encouraging to let the play flow and keep the flag down, because if it's offside, VAR will bring it back for like on all the tight calls. And I think that's I would imagine that's what the referees have been told as well. Like, if you're not sure, let it go, and then we'll go to VAR once it's gone in, sort of thing, to check it. So
okay. A couple of retirements in a week, didn't we?
Yeah, we have. Sean Wright-Phillips was one, I think.
And Fernando Torres was
Fernando Torres. Oh yeah, you asked the question, didn't you? What was your out of all the Liverpool strikers?
What would your Liverpool front three be in the Premier League era?
What did you go for? Because obviously I responded to it because I wasn't chatting to you.
No, I'd agree with you. I think you have peak Suarez, you have peak Torres, and you got Salah. I
think
pretty damn amazing.
It's very hard to not pick peak Michael Owen. That's the only issue I've got, because his goal scoring when he burst onto the scene as that youngster, and you always go back to it about his celebration, the little hand rubbing celebration, like that sort of era of peak Michael Owen. He was incredible. He was such a good goal scorer.
What, the Michael Owen who's never scored 20 Premier League goals in a season?
Yeah, that one. He's never scored 20.
No, I don't actually. I think maybe it's Michael Owen's punishing, he's tarnishing his reputation. He obviously had probably 6-7 great seasons at Liverpool, scoring 10 plus goals each season. But I don't know. I don't think now the goal scoring's gone on another level. Like 10 more goals a season are being scored by the top strikers. Yeah, he did. Yeah, fair enough. Let us know down below, by the way, if you didn't answer that question when Josh tweeted it out. Then let us know down below which Liverpool's what would be your ultimate 3 Liverpool strikers that they've ever had. Robbie Fowler, what's your thoughts on Robbie Fowler? Obviously this is quite a bit nostalgic because I have no affinity to Robbie Fowler. Robbie Fowler's peak time came probably just before I kind of got into football. I mean, my knowledge of watching Fowler was post knee injury, and obviously he got affected by Michael Owen coming onto the scene because he got injured. Michael Owen burst onto the scene, so I only have kind of taken in top level Fowler through highlights, and I have no affinity with him whatsoever. What I saw of him seemed a bit washed up, and people were just talking about him being the most natural finisher the world has ever seen. I just didn't see it, so I don't have any softness, any warmth for him.
Yeah, fair enough. What else you got in the news for me?
Couple of transfers.
Yep.
So I'll rattle through the ones that caught my eye. So Frank Ribery to Fiorentina.
Yeah, Football Manager transfer. Love it.
Yep. Daniel Sturridge to Trabzonspor.
Weird one. Didn't see it coming.
Yep.
Thought he would stay in England.
Takefusa Kubo on loan to Mallorca from Real Madrid, following in the footsteps of Samuel Eto'o, did the same path.
Okay.
This is a one. You said Football Manager transfer for Frank Ribery. This is the type of transfer you'd hate on Football Manager because it feels unrealistic. Lee Cattermole was signed for.
VV Venlo, innit? In Holland.
VV Venlo,
yeah.
Venlo, sorry, yeah. That is one you go, oh, come on, Football Manager. As if Lee Cattermole would ever go there. He lives in the northeast, doesn't he? It's like, nope, he'd go there.
Yeah, bloody hell. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I find it still so bizarre that we're the only country in Europe where the window's shut. Is it?
Yeah,
I don't agree with it.
It's not good for us.
It should just be a global, a European-wide thing that says this is the date that everyone can't. The transfer window shuts for everybody. It's just very annoying, isn't it? It's just very, very annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's because of that Champions League, Europa League thing that you're playing against teams who are in the same competition, but like we're playing with the Premier League, English clubs playing the Premier League, they shut at the same time. But then the European clubs playing the Champions League, but they've had different times to assemble their squad. So I think we even need to, as I mentioned last week, either we all go for before the start of the season, or we all go for the same date. Yeah. Hopefully, it's both.
Yeah.
All right, agree. That's all I have in the news this week. Unless you have anything else to add.
Just a quick chat about the whole Bury situation. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. About what do you feel like, is the EFL doing enough to make sure owners are okay? I mean, Bury have been around for
200
years or something, 150 years. it's a tough thing to do. Obviously, they had their deadline on Friday, was it? I think that he had to sell the club or get the money, and then if they didn't, they were going to be expelled from the Football League. And it's just all very strange that a club can get into this sort of situation. That's obviously easier for smaller clubs to get into that situation, but yeah, I mean,
because margins are thin.
Yeah. I just wanted your thoughts on it because obviously it is quite a prevalent thing in the news in the world of football at the moment in the UK. So.
Yeah, and I just find it's very sad to see. Really, I find it really sad to see that sides can slip away like that, and potentially slip away like that. And I mean, you see with Bolton having to had to postpone their match, didn't they? Because their youth players were fatigued or not in the right physical, mental state for it, and they again got beat again, didn't they? And it's just I really don't like to see it, and especially like Bolton resonates more with me because we've seen them in the Premier League, and they were a good side in the Premier League. Sir Allardyce, Sam Allardyce,
calm down.
Sir Allardyce of Sam. Did really well with them, and you have fond memories of them, and I don't like seeing it at all. And he's kind of those. If I had the money, I'd love to kind of save these clubs, and it's just how they get themselves into it, and just the kind of the poison nature of the owners. Some of them are quite devious and poisonous, and they're not football men really, are they? Not looking at the club's best interest, and they just, like we saw with Blackpool, completely misowned, and they had to fans fought to get them out of the club, didn't they?
Yeah, it was the whatever his name was, Oyston or whatever he is. Yeah, very strange. But I just wanted to
rapist.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. So thanks for that. Okay. Moving on. What's next?
Moving on.
You said you were going to hold this fort together.
Ready for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, here we go. Ooh la 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 la. Ooh la 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 la. Ooh la 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 la. It's quizzing time. Dave, your mental capacity is at its peak.
It is peak.
Yeah.
Peak brain
you ready
power.
To rumble?
Yes.
Peak brain power. Okay. I mentioned before the podcast I gave Dave a little hint. He needed to think of Brazilians. And what have you been thinking of, Dave? When I said that, what I say, think of Brazilians. People, what do you think of?
Dani Alves, because you mentioned him earlier. Neymar.
Okay, all right.
Pele.
God, he knows his football, this guy.
Yeah.
There are currently 17 Brazilians playing in the Premier League. I've taken this from a foreign Premier League players list on Wikipedia, so it may be wrong. But there are 17 Brazilians currently playing in the Premier League. Can you name them, please, Dave?
17? Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go for some easy ones then. Firmino. Fabinho.
Yes.
Gabriel Jesus.
Yes.
Fernandinho. Fred. Martinelli from Arsenal.
Yes.
How many is that? I'm not writing these down, so I have no idea.
You got 1 for 6.
6. Okay. Think of the big clubs. Big clubs, Dave. Come on, you can do this, Dave. Brain is working overtime right now, processing all the toxins in my body, and trying to think of Brazilian footballers that play in the Premier League. Oh my God. Come on. Is Andreas Pereira Brazilian?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Is there some really obscure ones in there in the list? Or are they all pretty?
Not really. No. Because I mean, I'll be honest with you, Dave. 2 people you've named are already additional to the list, so it's now 19 Brazilians currently playing Premier League.
So who is that then? Pereira was added.
Fred and Fernandinho weren't on the list.
Oh, how were they
Wikipedia.
not on the list? This is a shit list. It's a
Blame
terrible
Wikipedia.
shit list. I will blame Wikipedia. It's now throwing my whole wiki files into doubt as well. Is it correct? Is everything on the wiki files correct? That's what this whole podcast is based on.
I love Wikipedia.
I know. I'm also stalling for time while I try and think of Brazilians. Oh God, this is gonna. There's got to be someone. Is it Brazilian?
Go by club. Think of clubs.
That's
clubs,
what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Oh.
Lucas Moura.
Yeah.
Are there any Brazilian defenders in the league? Oh, David Luiz.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah, there's one. I'll leave it there. We'll come back to it. Wesley. Is he Brazilian for Villa?
Oh, check you out.
Joel Linton for Newcastle.
Oh my goodness, Dave.
It's because I literally just said we'll stop it, and then something
injected yourself with adrenaline, have
yeah.
you? Crikey.
Willian.
Oh, this is just rolling off the tongue.
Yeah.
Brazilians on your tongue.
Lovely stuff. Philippe Anderson.
Oh, mama.
How many's that?
You got from my list. You've got 6 remaining.
Oh man, I'm smashing it. All right, we'll come back to those last 6 later on then.
All right, and then we can be shouted at from the from our listeners, going, "There's 10, 15, 20 more people you haven't named. I'm sorry, but if you're doing any more, add them to the list."
Douglas Luiz.
Then, add them to this. Then we'll update Wikipedia as a group, and we'll improve the world.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm chucking Douglas Luiz is chucked in there as my last one. Let's move on.
Yeah. Scored a brilliant goal last week. Love it.
Yeah. Absolute blooter, to use one of your words.
Yes.
So.
Right.
Okay. You're holding this fort together.
Let's move on. Okay, right. Let's move on to the reviews of the week. And I'm not sure if you're all aware, listeners, but this podcast has been made a whole lot easier because Sky Sports now chuck on the highlights on YouTube right after the match is finished. So that's a lot easier.
Excellent. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
that's wonderful.
So you don't have to wait around for match of the day. You can, I don't know whether it's country based, so you might have to.
I like a bit of match of the day though. I still watch it over every weekend.
I'm not overly fussed, to be honest with you.
You just want to see the goals.
I don't mind Gary Lineker. It's all right. Yeah. I normally fast forward any guff in between because I don't really want to listen to a generic manager interview or some mediocre insight. But I am easy. As long as I see the goals, I'm fine.
Good. All right then.
Right, we'll go to the early kickoff. The Friday night game, wasn't it? Friday night has all started. Aston Villa Everton, the Thomas Hitzelsberger derby.
Yes. What an interesting game. I think I quite like the way Aston Villa are playing this season. I'll admit it. I think they're playing some quite nice football. I think they're moving the ball around very nicely.
It's actually been quite positive. All 3 promoted sides are trying to play football, aren't they?
It is. It's very good to see. Actually, it's very good to see, and I think I think you can say Villa were. It was Harry Kane scored 2, didn't he? I think at the quite late goals to beat Villa.
We were struggling late on.
And then it was Harry Wilson scored on his debut with quite a good goal for Bournemouth against Villa, but they played well. Yeah,
Tom Heaton messed up with 2 errors, wasn't it, last week?
And it was sort of like you could feel it. Like they were sort of going in the right direction, and then I think they got a good win. Dean Smith made some very good decisions. Wesley looked like he knew what the role was of a striker, which he previously didn't look like he knew what he was doing, sort of thing. But
he gets his first goal, which is good for his confidence, and he looked quite dangerous all match actually. But it was really made from Hotter's through lovely assist.
Yeah,
but
lovely threaded pass.
I do feel like this may be one of the only goals Wesley gets this season. I really can't see him being a goal threat throughout.
I think it depends on how Villa want to use him, because it looks like he would actually be quite suited for crosses into the box and stuff, but they don't seem to be playing that way because it all
he does drop deep a bit and plays through, doesn't he?
Yeah,
it's weird.
And Villa themselves play through Jack Grealish, obviously through the centre more than down the wings and stuff. So it's very interesting. But I thought they were very impressive against Everton. I thought it was a very good performance. I think Everton. Yeah. Iwobi hit the post. They were unlucky with that. It was a good strike on his left foot. Everton are an odd one this season. I really can't predict what they're going to do. They've sort of.
I know before the match, Everton have been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you're like, oh god, they're pathetic. Theo Walcott missed a great chance. Andre Gomez and Schneidel in the midfield were just woeful. Andre Gomez lost possession more times than I lost count. He gets dribbled past so easily, which is funny because he just dribbled past people quite quickly.
Yeah. I think Andre Gomez has been disappointing with because how good he was on loan for them last year. And it's.
that good at anything. He's kind of not bad at anything, but not actually
Yeah,
that good at anything. I'm not sure he's actually got it. But it's also nice for in this match, Jack Grealish ends his run of 20 consecutive Premier League defeats. So
it
not
does.
21st time. No.
I and I also like the fact he ended it with a win, not a draw. So it does
Yes.
go to a W, not a D in there. But yeah, a good win for Villa. Gets their first points on the board. At the moment, propels them up into 15th or wherever they. Yeah, at the moment, because they've got Wolves and Newcastle below them, but played today. So
Yeah.
it'll be very interesting. Yeah,
They got a real tough match next up though. Villa, one of the best teams in the country, up next. Crystal Palace they play next.
Oh, fuck off. Fucking unbelievable. We'll get on to
Right,
that.
let's move on to the Rob Green derby, shall we? Norwich versus Chelsea. The early kick-off on Saturday, and if you were a little bit late to the early kick-off, you'd have missed 4 goals, because there was, I think, 4 goals within the first 35-40 minutes. It was a bit ridiculous. And further to what I spoke about last week, Chelsea are very open defensively, and these are 2 second sides, which I think will be really enjoyable to watch this season, but I think it may not be that enjoyable when you look at the league positions for both when you come the end of the year. Maybe Norwich, as long as Pookie keeps scoring, obviously he's doing well so far. Stepped down from last week, got a hat-trick last week, and now only won a goal and an assist. Pretty poor. Maybe need to drop him. Yeah, I think Chelsea may just come unstuck when they face the bigger boys a bit more, and maybe I'm wrong. And when Rudiger comes in and props up that defence a bit more, but at the moment they look like they can concede goals against everybody.
Yeah, I think that's the issue I sort of thought with Chelsea is that their defence doesn't look very solid. Like you say, Rudiger's got to come back, and he doesn't. Whether he will bring that solidity, I'm not too sure. He was never.
Especially as he's coming back from a long injury,
Yeah.
big injury as well. It's not like easy just to step back into that.
And then the other issue I thought they'd have is actually goal-scoring strikers, because Abraham was a bit untested in the Premier League. He did well in the Championship. Giroud is very much a player that brings other people into the game rather than goal-scoring. But Tammy Abraham did really well in the game.
Yeah, you would have missed it, but before the match, BT Sport were going to talk about this goal drought for Abraham, and they've mentioned, I think Peter Crouch mentioned, he's been at Chelsea since he was 8, and he's yet to score. They made it sound like he'd literally been trying to score for like 15 years. Like, no, he's had really good loan stints at Bristol and at Villa.
Yeah.
It's just he hasn't, and this is third. He has played 2 Premier League games, hasn't scored yet. But he's a really good striker. Well, that kind of mix. I think we tweeted a poll a few months back, didn't we, around Abraham, Calvert-Lewin, Shea Adams,
Yeah.
and Dominic Solanke. And Abraham, I think, came out on top because I think he's a very good player, and he showed yesterday took 2 goals well.
Yeah, I think he is learning about how Lampard wants Chelsea to play. Obviously they're very different to what Villa did last year for him. Villa created a lot of chances for Abraham, and he was very clinical. I think this year he's going to be. Would you start him ahead of Giroud if you were a Chelsea manager, or would you have him to come off the bench?
It'll be match dependent, but I'd probably go with Abraham more consistent with Giroud, and it's just lovely to see. I mentioned it a few weeks back when we were talking about our predictions that it's an exciting time for Chelsea fans if they kind of lower expectations and get these youth through. But Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham celebrating with Frank Lampard, it's just lovely to see these 2 young Chelsea players who've been there for years and years and years. It's great to see.
It is, yeah. Just obviously you mentioned Mason Mount. Obviously his goal was very well taken as well. He looks like he could be a very nifty player. We've got a lot of these number 10 attacking midfielders, English players that are coming through. And like if you look at James Ward-Prowse, Maddison, Mason Mount. Who else is there? There's someone else that I can't think of.
It's Cantwell, I suppose, has burst on the
Yeah.
scene a little bit for Norwich, isn't he?
So
Probably needs an honourable mention.
it's very interesting to see how it's all going to develop, and hopefully they keep getting this sort of game time as well to develop, because it's great for obviously English football to get these young English lads playing in the Premier League, which is good. A bit of a chat on Norwich City. Do you think they'll be safe this season, or are they going to be sort of maybe conceding goals is going to be their problem?
Jury's out for me. I think they stand a decent chance of staying up. They've shown they're capable. Timo Pukki is now on legend status alongside Amir Zaki, Michu and Nikita Jelavic. So can he push himself up and beyond that and keep scoring goals? I think he scored think only he's level with like Pavel Pogrebniak as scoring in the first few matches, so it's not exactly unheard of, and he needs to keep it going. But yeah, he's showing good signs, and the thing is, Norwich show really they have those three behind Pookie have kind of made him look. They create a lot of chances for him. It's just whether I know if one of those gets injured. I mean, I say if Pookie gets injured, it's game over for them, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a long season. It's a long, hard slog, and so hopefully they can. I don't have any ill feeling against Norwich, but yeah, it's early days, but they're showing good signs.
Okay, yeah, cool. I can't disagree or argue with any of those points you just made. So, very nice indeed. I mean, well, you're running through the order, Josh, so keep it going.
Yeah. We'll go to the Justin Fashanu derby with Brighton versus Southampton.
Okay.
And Brighton did okay here. Brighton went down to 10 men and played with 10 men for about 60 minutes. And what a shocking challenge from Andone.
I was going to raise this.
It's almost like he's trying to jump out of it, but he jumps into it. It's really bad.
He's
a highly strung player. He's always on the edge. And I mean, when he played against Spurs, he was just running around a bit like a headless chicken because easily been sent off. But just an absolute liability if you're going to do that.
When players do those sort of tackles and those sort of decisions, it's sort of like what's going through their head when he does it. Why would you want to jump studs up into someone's shin? Like I watched it this morning on or recently on Match of the Day here, and it was just like, what is he doing? Why do that? It's so stupid. And then the look of innocence that he tried to show afterwards, as in like, well, I've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Like, why is that a red card? Well, you're an idiot. So, but yeah, I think
that's one of those you just need to, as soon as you get up, walk.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of brings Brighton back down to earth a bit, doesn't it? The result, losing at home 2-0.
It's been a bit of on a slide, isn't it?
Yeah.
Win, draw, loss, and you're like, oh, okay.
I think they'll be much closer to the bottom of the table come Christmas time. But Southampton, on the other hand, are on a bit of a surge. They didn't start brilliantly.
Yeah, they're improving. Brighton have Man City up next, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get your money on a Man City win for that one. Southampton. Yeah, Gineppo made it. He kind of seems like Sadio Mane incarnate, doesn't he? He's very powerful, very quick, very direct. Scored a lovely goal.
He'll be coming to a Liverpool team near you in about 2 years' time. So.
Yeah, they held out for a while, didn't they, Brighton? But his weak defender let Southampton in. A poor attempted challenge in the flank. A poor attempted challenge down Southampton's right, and he was through. But and then Redmond again doing a kind of similar to what Raheem Sterling's done, isn't he? He's getting goals now, isn't he? He's coming in. He's a wide player who's previously hadn't contributed much. Looked a little bit flashy at times. Obviously had that pep talk from Pep, but now he seems to be adding goals to his game. And maybe he can push on. Maybe he gets an England call up again.
I was going to say the second goal for Southampton was very comparable with a Man City sort of goal. It was very well worked. It was got round the back and a low cross in, and Redmond was there, like you say, in a sort of Sterling position to put it in. And we both picked Southampton as a surprise package, didn't we, to do well? We thought they'd build on it. So hopefully this is the
finally doing it.
Yeah. Hopefully this is the turnaround that Hasenhüttl will sort out, and they'll go on a bit of a run of form. So, or just come to Old Trafford and beat us. That's fine. They'll do that. Yeah.
Well, that takes us to a lovely place, to the Fraser Campbell derby.
Yes. Or Louis Zaha. Louis, no, I've got that.
Wilfried Zaha.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Aaron
he's still drunk,
Wan-Bissaka.
people.
Yeah, there's lots of derbies.
United were in control. They had a pretty good match.
Yeah.
Just two silly mistakes.
We smashed them. We didn't.
Smashed them.
We didn't get
smashed them, Dave. That is a little bit strong.
Smashed them in a 2-1 loss. It's just
with your goal coming 89th minute.
Yeah. Right. One thing. Let's talk first. Right. One, how is that not a penalty on Martial when he's clearly pulled back and it goes to VAR and it's not given? Two, how is it also not a penalty on Rashford in the box later on in the game when he was clearly clipped and it's not given? Three, why is Daniel James booked for simulation when he's clearly fouled and he gets hit on the knee? Four, why are we relying on penalties to beat Crystal Palace? They're my four main questions from this game. It really, really annoys me. And, it's just so... Just when
Can I just touch on the penalties thing? What do you think about the penalty taker thing?
I would prefer there to be one designated player, or you have like a list sort of thing. So it would be, if Rashford and Pogba are both on the pitch, you give it to Rashford. If Rashford's off the pitch and Pogba's on the pitch, Pogba gets it. Something like that.
Yeah.
So you have your priority
Or
list.
it's like you keep your number one, and you'll take them until you miss one, then it goes to the other.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's I have no real say, and I can understand when they.
No, you don't, Dave.
I don't have a say in the matter. Well, when I can understand it, if you've got two penalty takers who are both very technically very good, and on the day it comes down to who's more confident. But with that, you would think it should always be Rashford that gets the say, because he's the striker. He's the person that needs to, is scoring the goal. Excuse me. He's the person is there to put the ball in the back of the net, and every goal will give him more confidence, so he should be on penalties. Saying that, obviously he missed this one. As soon as it was awarded, basically me and the guys I was watching it in the pub with, we're just like, yeah, Rashford is going to take this and he'll miss. He'll miss, because it's just the storyline so far, isn't it? It's just
there's been more pressure added to the situation now, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. But Crystal Palace were clinical. They played to their sort of strengths. I was very surprised they didn't start Benteke. I know he's not been brilliant. He's been utterly turd for them. But I thought up against Lindelof, they would have pushed Benteke to go against Lindelof and then freed Zaha to run at Maguire. But they ended up starting Jordan Ayew, and he had probably the best game I've ever seen him play. He was very, very good for them up front, holding the ball up, trying to take the pressure off the defence. He was obviously very isolated in the formation they played. But I thought Jordan Ayew was very, very good. The one of the most annoying things from the game is Palace's first goal that Ayew scored. You've brought in Harry Maguire to shore up the defence, make it a bit more solid, and basically add this strength that we've been missing to the back four. But he was so tactically unaware of what was happening when that ball went long towards Lindelof and Schlupp, which is another annoying thing. How can a left back / left winger beat a centre back in the air when they're both challenging for the ball at the same time? But Schlupp won the header and got the flick on, and it fell through to Ayew, and Harry Maguire was nowhere to be seen. He was so far tactically out of position. As soon as I play centre back, obviously, as soon as that ball goes long, if your centre back partner's challenging for it, what you want to do is get in behind them to sweep up. You're not playing offside trap because the ball's high in the air, but you're covering round, and he just wasn't there. He was so far away. But,
I think part of that is because it's early days. He's still learning around the system. I mean,
yes,
part of that is simple. You cover the person going in, but I think part of that is also that he is his second, third game for United. I think he'll develop, but yeah, it's not nice to see straight away, is it?
I agree. He is still obviously learning how we play and that stuff, but it's just a basic thing of defending, like that thing. But it's credit to Crystal Palace. I mean, most teams at Old Trafford, when Man United score in the 89th minute, are sort of like batten down the hatches, then let's not let Man United score another one. We know what they're like at Old Trafford in injury time and things. And Crystal Palace actually took the game back to our defenders, and they ran at us and they caused problems. And I think it was amazing to see how much how the pace of Crystal Palace's front line scared our defenders, and that was a worrying sight to see. When they were running at them, it just seemed to cause confusion. There was one time I think Lindelof and Maguire both went to tackle one player, and what happened is that 3 Crystal Palace guys ended up running through on goal. One of them tripped over, fell on the ball. It fell to Zaha, and De Gea made a good save. But it wasn't very convincing. Obviously, we've lost to Crystal Palace. I think there were some good points. It's not as bad as everyone's made out for Man United. It's just the fact that it's Crystal Palace. But yeah, it's disappointing, and David De Gea should really save that shot. It was fucking dreadful goalkeeping.
Yep, no, nothing about it. You could have done with Lukaku, maybe. He normally scores against the lower sides. Maybe you need Lukaku.
Yeah, maybe. No.
Maybe.
Yeah, so very,
right,
very
let's
frustrating.
not dwell. Let's move on.
Before we go
up next week. You got Southampton next week, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got Southampton next week. Before we move on from the game, you seen the highlights of the game, I assume, or you watched it? Did you watch it on TV? I don't know if it was on in the UK.
No, I didn't watch it. I've caught up since.
It was the penalty decisions that weren't given.
So Martial's one.
Yeah. Martial, and there was
So
Martial.
Martial's one. So that's just a tussle between players. They started off outside the box, tussling. But it's that weird thing that he gets his shot away. He gets his shot away, therefore the referee's going, well, he's managed to get a shot away.
Yeah, but whilst he's shooting, the tug on him makes him lose his footing. So he does get a shot away, but it's nowhere near the shot he would have had if he wasn't being pulled, like and held back and stopping a goal scoring.
Yeah, they're both tussling together, aren't they? They're both kind of. It's just I think if you see them giving you, oh come on, that is pretty damn weak.
Yeah, okay.
I think that would be really generous to give that, and you'd be like, oh god, look at United getting their blooming freebies.
Fair enough. Josh Cole, voice of reason. I like it.
Josh Cole, not the Man United fan.
Yeah, very true. I was going to say something else, but I've completely forgotten it. What it was.
We'll move on. We'll move on to the Danny Cadamarteri derby. All right.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Sheffield United versus Leicester, the one we're all interested about. And
what a goal.
Leicester got a little bit lucky.
Goal. Harry Barnes.
What an assist.
A goal.
Oh, sorry. I thought I like the Vardy goal, the lovely outside the foot.
Oh,
boot, boot and foot.
From Maddison, wasn't it?
The same. Maddison, who probably England called up beckons, and then Vardy doing what Vardy does, smashing it in, and then obviously doing what Vardy does by absolutely inciting the crowd by putting hands behind his ears because he's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and he just absolutely wound them right up. So Vardy well, and I thought for Leicester, Chowdhury was a very good performance from him. He's an all-action midfield performer, and maybe he might get an England called up. Southgate was in the stands watching this one, and I think he's a good defensive midfielder, all-action. Maybe lacks that kind of he's more of a grunt worker. Maybe lacks what that kind of element of class to get into the England squad. But it'd be nice to see. Probably worth a call up to see if he's good enough and to see if he can get a chance.
Would you go for him or Declan Rice, or call them both up, or?
Oh, Declan Rice for sure comes. I think Declan Rice probably starts for England.
Okay.
But no, Chowdhury I think probably deserves to get kind of in the squad so he can get a close look at him.
Yeah.
He's turned in some very good performances. But yeah, you're right. Harvey Barnes, that was wow.
It was just an unbelievable hit. Yeah. Incredible game.
And I think he's found to step up a little bit tough for the Premier League. Obviously, he had that really good, I thought it was only half a season loan last year at West Brom, and he kind of took the Championship by storm a little bit, and he didn't really show much last year. I think he maybe got one goal for Leicester last year, maybe a couple, but yeah, he difficult acclimatising. But he's a decent player. I'm not sure he's ever got. I think he's a try. I think he's kind of in the kind of Mark Albrighton level of things. I don't think he deserves England call-ups. Not from what I've seen so far. I might be wrong, but I don't think he's of Maddison's level. But no, good goal. And but Sheffield United obviously weren't overawed. Leicester obviously been spoken about as potentially getting to the top 6. It wasn't a thrashing. They did well. They attacked. Decent goal. I still find the name McBurney funny for some reason. I just I can't quite get to grips with it. But yeah, no. Sheffield United did all right, and they're doing okay so far, aren't they? But they're away at Chelsea next week, and that'll be interesting because obviously Chelsea got a win yesterday, pushed them up a little bit, give them some confidence. But I don't think Sheffield United have anything to fear. I think it could be quite a good match. That one. Reasonably even, I reckon.
Yeah, what did you make of Chris Wilder's comments after the game when he was like, "I'm not going to applaud, credit or reward," I think is what he said, like his players just for putting in effort. And apparently at half time he went in, like his team talk was, I've got dinner plans at 8:30, but if we carry on playing the way we are, I might as well bring it forward to 4 o'clock because like we're not going to win this game, sort of thing. Like it's a very interesting tactic to use.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I trust he knows his players better than me, because if that was me, I'd be like, alright, fuck you then.
Yeah. Okay.
Wouldn't work on me, but I trust that he knows his players better. But I don't know. It's honest, I suppose, but I think it's a bit old school for me. I think a lot of players now probably. Well, then again, Sheffield United have some old school players, but I don't know. For me, it's a little bit antiquated.
Yeah, fair enough. Overall, though, yeah, I think. Have Sheffield United impressed you so far with how they've played? Obviously, they're up in.
Yes, yeah. I think again, as we mentioned at the start of the top of the section, that sides have come here to play, for been promoted, and it's good to see. You don't. It's always a bit infuriating. You see, just kind of scrabbling around, trying to cling on, and maybe they'll start doing that when it gets a little bit more tight and a little bit more desperate. But it's nice to see that they're at least it's not their go-to from off.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we'll move on now to the Valon Behrami derby, Watford versus West Ham, and whoa, this was an enjoyable one to watch. This was 3-1 West Ham, and XG was 2.3 v 2.7, so goals galore. And I think West Ham probably now quite happy they signed Sebastian Haller. They finally have a competent, professional striker in their ranks.
Yeah, he looks very good. He looks very, very useful when he gets the ball. Obviously, scoring a brace is always helpful. The overhead kick was a lovely finish. Again, it's one of those.
Yep.
Not too sure how it avoided the defender's head, like the ball. So the defender avoided heading the ball, and it actually made its way through to him. But a lovely finish, and it could have been a hell of a lot more because Ben Foster conceded 3, but actually had a very good game. He made a number of very good saves for Watford in goal. But yeah, West Ham again. They're one of those teams. I'm just not. A bit like you saying about Everton. I can't decide what they're going to do this season. They've still got Mark Noble. Probably shouldn't be starting. Scored a good penalty like he always does, but
Longest serving player in the Premier League now.
Yeah. Is that ever something that you really want to boast about?
Well, he's obviously done something to keep him there. I mean, the managers have changed over the years, and he still manages to keep himself inside. And obviously, his goals tally is propped up by being a penalty taker. But no, it's not. I mean, yeah, you'd want to upgrade him eventually, but he's still doing okay for him. He did look like he was past it a few years back, and seems to have really kind of nailed down.
Yeah, I would do agree with that.
Now,
he's sort of rejuvenated himself recently. After that bad season, but looks pretty bleak if you're a Watford fan.
Oh man, I think it's going very wrong. So they got Newcastle next up, and so I would say if Watford lose that match, it's bye Javi Gracia.
Yeah, I would agree if they lose that.
But maybe not right away because their following games after that are Arsenal and City. So it may be he's sacked, and then you got a caretaker for a couple of matches, and then the new manager comes in. Or they just make him.
But isn't there
just dig his own grave and play against those two?
Is there an international break coming up soon?
There is an international break coming up, Dave. After the Newcastle game,
there
is an international break. So
sack him.
I would suggest
after the Newcastle game.
Sack him after the losing to Newcastle, and then get someone.
Yeah.
A random foreign manager in again. Although I did hop off the ice. Maybe would Sam Allardyce come in, but it's not really the Watford way, is it?
No, it's not. I don't think that'd be a very good fit with the players they've got. It's Big Sam at Watford. I just couldn't see that.
Big Sam, Big Troy Deeney.
Sorry.
Big Sam and Big Troy Deeney.
Yeah, that'd be like your favourite partnership ever, wouldn't it?
It's a match made in heaven. That is.
Yeah. The game itself, I think West Ham are very good. Watford did create a few good chances. I mean, was it Will Hughes missed an absolute sitter?
Oh my, Will Hughes! Oh my!
Yeah.
Harder to miss that one, surely.
Yeah, much harder, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty bleak. If we've got any Watford fans that listen, please let us know how on earth do Watford turn this around, other than by sacking your manager.
Do they turn it around with Gracia in charge?
Yeah, that's the key thing there. But yeah, it was a decent game. West Ham deserved the win, I think. Yeah, Ben Foster played very well, but still conceded 3, so pretty much sums it up. Yeah. And then...
Right, we'll move on to the Yossi Benayoun derby.
Well, that could be loads of different games, because he played for a lot of clubs.
Yes, he's a good player though, isn't he? Lovely little, lovely balance on the ball. Bit Adam Lallana-esque, his two-footed kind of, his poise on the ball. But yeah, lovely player. Liverpool, Arsenal, 3-1 Liverpool, and unsurprising result. But some decent performances in there, or some notable performances, should I say. So we have Pepe, looked quite dangerous.
Yeah, should have scored, shouldn't he? Should have scored early on in the game.
If he had a right foot.
Yeah, it's true.
Can't be running through left to right and then also try and hit it with your left. That is a tough ask there. But no, he looked good. Some good moments on the ball. A bit wary for him next week because it obviously seems like I think if he had been next season, or if Van Dijk or Robertson had played against him all before, I think they might have had more of an idea. But it seemed like they were still getting up to speed on how to treat him as a player, how to defend against him. So Pepe looked dangerous. David Luiz looked dangerous for all kind of different manner. He obviously gave away a penalty, and then just kind of doesn't. Salah's skill obviously gets past Luiz. I think a lot of other players could have done better than that. And yeah, effectively 2 goals lie at his door, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's someone who's been brought in to make the defence solid and give it that solidity and strength, and he's just the penalty one is.
He's better than Koscielny and Mustafi. I'll give him that.
He's better than Mustafi.
Well, current Koscielny dropped off.
Yeah.
Really,
he is better than current
Koscielny, peak.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, it was just it was a very predictable result. Arsenal sort of played into Liverpool's hands as well. Emery kept with the sort of diamond he's been playing, which is, in my opinion, stupid when you're playing against Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson, who are arguably the 2 best fullbacks in the league last year. And
Spurs played a diamond against them, got absolutely hammered.
When you give someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold that much space to pick across, it's suicide, tactical suicide, and it was the writings were sort of on the wall. This is the game, Josh, that really induced my hangover, because I wasn't meant to stay out and watch this one, and I did. So that's why I got in at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's why.
So I totally blame
Yossi
Arsenal
Benayoun
and Liverpool. Yossi Benayoun, I'll blame Yossi Benayoun.
Yeah, it's worse business as usual, isn't it, for Liverpool, really. Then it doesn't seem like they're going to get beaten very often this season, even though Adrian is trying his best to concede as well as he can. But no, another win. Only unbeaten team in the Premier League. Only one with a 100% record, shall I say, in the Premier League. 100% win record.
So, obviously, coming up today, what are the games today? It's Bournemouth.
We have Bournemouth, Man City, and Spurs and Newcastle.
And Wolves, Burnley, as well.
Oh, okay.
We have Wolves, Burnley playing at the same time as Tottenham and Newcastle. Yeah. So, are you confident you're going to smash Newcastle?
I'd like to think so, but
no, don't be
I'm
a
not
negative
really
Nelly.
that confident. It's early in the season. It's hard, I think. I mean, Newcastle are in a really sad state, but I think early in the season it's always a bit difficult. I don't often place bets early in the season because it's still quite tumultuous.
Good word.
Tumultuous.
Yep.
So as much as I want to place a bet on Man City to win against Bournemouth, I'm reluctant to, because I don't often place bets on away sides or early in the season, because it's like, well, sides aren't settled, new signings are settling in, they haven't quite got that run of form yet, so yeah, it's difficult to say. I'd like to think that Tottenham and a Harry Kane hat-trick will be on its way, but I will just be happy with a 89th minute winner from Spurs to nick it.
Okay, fair enough. Fantasy football, Josh. Our teams are playing each other this week.
Yes.
We've got the Cool Stars, which is obviously your team, and we've got Rude's Reds Ramblers, which is my team. You're currently winning, because so people listening, our fantasy football isn't done through just points over the whole season. There's a group of us in a friends group in a fantasy football league, but we've done the one where you actually play each other in fixtures. So you actually get points in a league system, and you get 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw if that weirdly happens. Yes, and currently you are winning. If I just quickly check my phone, you are winning our head-to-head fixture. It was very close though, if I remember rightly. That's the wrong app, Dave. You absolute moron.
It's thanks to Mo Salah. I have Mo Salah on my side. He would have helped that.
Yeah, you are.
But today I have got 2 City players and a Spurs player, so hopefully that will push me on.
Who is your Spurs player?
Harry Kane.
Bollocks, yeah, he's mine. Is he your captain?
Aguero's captain, and then De Bruyne is
okay.
in there as well.
That's fine. So if Harry Kane scores, I get double points for it. Triple points, because I played my triple captain card, thinking that Harry Kane's going to score at least 2 past Newcastle. But yes,
I think it's a good bet. I think he'll get in the goals today.
Yeah, I hope so. You're currently winning 23 points to 18, so it's pretty close.
Oh,
we've both had terrible weeks, to be honest. A terrible week.
Don't get me started on the blooming the Super 6 either. I had a real shocker of a week. I said before, when I tweeted, it's been a tough week. And oh god, it really has been a tough week. I only got 5 points.
But how many did I get? Because obviously I have to go through a VPN to check it and everything here, so I generally just log in once, do the scores, and then wait for you to give me an update about how rubbish I'm doing. So,
Okay.
how rubbish am I doing?
I'm not going to tell you, Dave.
Oh.
1 second. You got some points on the board, I think.
Okay, that's all right then. So, what's really weird? So I do another predictions league with some friends in London, and I do really well in that. And I think
You got 5 points. You predicted Sheffield United, Leicester.
Okay, that's all right then. Yeah, I do really well in my other predictions one, and what I do is I don't predict the same score in the Super Six and my predictions, which is stupid. I really should do, shouldn't I? I should predict the same things.
Yes, yeah, to keep it consistent.
To keep it consistent, but superstition and all that, more chance of winning something if you predict two scores.
More chance of losing both.
Or more, yeah, losing both. Anyway, that is the review of the fixtures. Josh, we'll move on because I'm going to sing a song that Owen completely messed up in the last podcast. I got a wiki file. Here comes a wiki file. I got a wiki file for you. Hey! Right, it is my week, so I've sent a wiki file to Josh. If you say it, see it. And if you see it, say it.
Okay, we have Scotsman here. So they started their youth career in 2000 to 2004. They were with Hibernian. They then went on to play for them for 5 years. It must be a striker because they scored 43 goals and 156 appearances for Hibernian.
It's Scotland, though, isn't it?
They were sick and tired of being north of the border. They thought, yeah, get me down to England. Let's go to Lancashire and we'll play for Burnley. Had a season at Burnley, 35 appearances, 8 goals. Not great. So they moved a little bit further south to, is it called Black Country?
Yeah.
Wolverhampton Wanderers. They spent a couple of years there, 61 appearances, 22 goals. They liked the north so much they went northeast this time rather than northwest. Went up to Sunderland. Spent 4 years there, 94 appearances, 23 goals, and then out of character, they went, you know what? I love the south of France. I'm going to sun myself in sunny Marseille. 12 appearances, 2 goals. But that was too sunny for them, so they went to Sheffield Wednesday, where they still currently are. Currently are at Sheffield Wednesday, 101 appearances, 24 goals. So this is a Scottish striker. Due to the goal tallies, or a very good midfielder. If he was that good a midfielder, he'd have played for better clubs. I think I've got this, and you know what? I quite like this player. Good with his head, left-footed. Stephen Fletcher.
It is Stephen Fletcher. Yeah, I was randomly watching some highlights of the Sheffield Wednesday game, and he scored. And I was like, oh yeah, I was going to look at his wiki file. Yeah, he scored for them this weekend. And then I completely forgot that he had loan at Marseille, which is one of the weirdest.
I must say, when I first saw it, I was like, what have you done to me here? I've got no chance. And then it's like, oh, it's loan at Marseille. He's got to only be a few players.
It's
I think he's actually joins the club of. That's actually weird. So Joey Barton, has also been to Marseille, hasn't he? And also played for Burnley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tyrone Mears, was it?
Yep.
Went to Marseille. Has also played for Burnley.
There you go.
That's a strange link between clubs that you would have. When Burnley and Marseille play each other, you say I've got actually some options there for the derbies. I wouldn't have thought that was an option you had to have many players to link between the two. But yeah, there we go.
There you go. But yeah, well done, Josh. You got the wiki file. Just for completeness, do you want to guess his national team figures for Scotland?
Oh, I reckon he's played a fair few games for them. Like 40 games, 15 goals, something like that.
Oh, not far off. 33 games, 10 goals. So
yeah, I'm surprised he has. I mean, he's probably quite old now. He's probably similar age to us, isn't he?
He's 32. Yep, he's 32.
32, you're younger than us. Yeah, so he's probably maybe. If he went up with a side, got promoted to Premier League, he'd play in it rather than be bought into it. But I think he could probably still do a job. I mean, I don't know what his stats are like for Sheffield Wednesday since he's been there. He's been there a few seasons now, hasn't he? So.
Yeah. But I like what I do like about his wiki file is that his representation for Scotland is under 20, under 21, B Scotland. So he's gone the ranks. He's done the ranks.
Done a hard graft, didn't he?
Yeah, which is good. But well done.
Well
done for getting the wiki file. Very good. I hope you guys are playing along. I did get a text, Josh. I did get a text. There was disappointment that last week there was no wiki file graphic on the screen, and someone couldn't
I
play along at home.
apologise for that.
So
That is my fault
technical error.
because I'm technically insufficient.
Okay. Well, I think that's that. We've got to go back to the quiz, I think, and then I think we're done.
Quiz. Well, we've got the talking point I put out earlier in the week actually,
yeah,
which
sorry.
kind of probably made you shed a tear. So obviously when we next speak, we'll have had the Champions League draw. So I pose the question: what kind of group would you hope your club gets? So would you want the group of death? Would you want the easiest one ever, or would you want somewhere in between? Because part of me does like a group of death because you may actually say you have the easiest group ever. It's effectively a Europa League group.
Yeah.
You qualify for Champions League. You go right, big nights at insert stadium here, and then you don't actually play a Champions League standard club. You might not get out. You might really fail in that Europa League standard group, and then go into Europa League. Like, oh, I've never really had that Champions League night. So if you get that group of death, say you get a Barcelona in your group, you're like, well, I'm going to see us play twice against one of the world's best sides, and they will play at our stadium. So I think that's the kind of the want with the group of death.
Yeah.
And also the not want to the easiest one ever, because it's nice to finish top of the group, but I don't know, if you played against Europa League standard, it's kind of like, oh.
I think it depends. I think it depends what club you are. If you're a club that's continually in the Champions League, I think you want the easiest group possible so that you know you're going to get through. I think if you're a team that's flirting with the Champions League and you're sort of in and out, sort of like, Man United haven't been in it for what, 2 seasons since we won the Europa League. I just think if we got into the Champions League now, I'd want a
You were
really
in it last
easy
year.
group. We weren't in it last. Yeah, was it last year? Bloody hell!
Yeah,
It's how depressed I am. It's how depressed I am, Josh.
Yeah, you've only won 2 games since you beat PSG. I know they got appointed.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would always want an easy group. I think if you're a club, let's say, I don't know, Burnley got into the Champions League, I think they would want quite a tough group with big names.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't be expecting to go get out of the group regardless of who they face. Yeah,
exactly. So I do think it depends on your club. I voted for somewhere in between. Looking at it now,
yeah,
probably would want easiest one ever.
So what would you like from your Europa League group then?
I would probably like a very easy group so that we can play the kids and play the youth and still not worry too much.
When it's Europa League, I also go, I want clubs nearby. I want Belgians. I want Dutch. I want, I don't want to be travelling over to Azerbaijan to play against a shit side and win 4-0. I want to just be quick over on the old Eurotunnel.
You want like the second rate French teams and Portuguese teams and everything there is sort of. It could still be warm as well, where it's not cold. And not much travelling.
Yeah, you don't want to be playing on some fake pitch over in
Russia or something. Yeah,
Russia,
like the Urals. But yeah, I mean, it's it's an interesting talking point to know what people want. But yeah, what did you vote for? What did you somewhere
in between? Yeah, because it's nice to get a spattering of kind of class and then some ones you feel like you could win. But I mean, I'd hope Spurs' group campaign's a little bit more smooth than last year, since we were out of it right until the last minute.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So, good chat though. But let's move back to the quiz then, Josh. So please just let the listeners know.
Move back to the quiz. Yeah. Ooh, la 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 la. Yes. So there are currently a number of Brazilians playing in the Premier League. I started with 17. Dave has since added 2 to the list that I didn't realise were on it. Well, because of Wikipedia failings. We are going to complete this list after this quiz, because you, as listeners, are going to tell me any who aren't, because you know your clubs better than me. So Dave is trying to name all the Brazilians that are currently playing in the Premier League. He, as my list states, has 5 left to name. Dave, can you name them?
Richarlison.
His name, just to clarify, his name: David Luiz, Douglas Luiz, Fabinho, Felipe Anderson, Robert Firmino, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, Joe Linton, Lucas Moura, Andreas Pereira, Wesley, Willian, Fred, and Fernandinho. So, Dave, what was your? Do you have an answer there?
Richarlison is one that I've got.
Richarlison, yes.
I've also got written down Alisson, obviously.
Yes, and another son.
And Ederson.
Oh, all the sons.
And then I'm sort of struggling, so What positions am I looking at?
You are looking at winger and fullback, I think.
Okay, a fullback.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is plays for a rubbish side.
Is he like a starter for the rubbish side, or is he sort of a backup fullback?
No, yeah, he starts. Yeah. Well, actually, I haven't seen the side this year, but it's a similar name to the other one. So once you get the name of your first one, you can then go and get the name of your second one.
Okay, let me have a think then. Let me have a think. I said let me have a think. It's not helping me because I can't think of the bloody name.
Okay, so the first one plays as a winger who scored last week. I think he scored the winner last week, actually.
Oh, Bernard.
Bernard, yes. Bernard's watch, yes.
Bernardo.
Yes, and now
fullback for Brighton.
Bernardo, yes.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, yeah.
Now, if you know any other Brazilians who are playing the Premier League that haven't been named on that list, I mean, is Fred played yet this year? I mean, he's big money signing, but he seems like he's going to be
he's injured, I think.
out of favour now.
Oh, no, he's got extended leave because of the Copa America.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay.
I think he'll have a good season.
Right, well,
I think he'll have a good season this year under Ole.
I think you're wrong.
I think you can.
I think he's pathetic.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Sorry, Fred.
Yeah, that was harsh. That was harsh. Hopefully he doesn't listen. And if he did, he's not tuning in ever again. So.
And if you are listening, Fred, retweet us, mate.
Yeah.
Because we would love to hear from you. We'd love to get some more listeners because we're available on YouTube at Football Talk. So listen on there. Where do you listen, Fred? We're available on Spotify at Football Talk. Search, I don't know, maybe search Michael Ballsack or search Div Kokoriki. Yeah, I know you like those searches, Fred. We're available on Twitter at Football Talk. But remember, Dave,
there's no A in football because
some
chump has
Fred.
nicked it.
There's no A in your name either. Otherwise, it'd be Fared or Freda, Freed, Afred. All right, so just find us on those. Subscribe, listen, like, interact. We'll get back to you. We'll chat to you. And yeah, it's been a good week, isn't it, Dave? Back in the swing of things. How you feeling? Has your hangover subsided?
Yeah, just tired now. Just tired.
Tired of what? I'm tired of you. Come on, Dave.
Don't be tired of me, mate. Well, you can be tired of me now because it's the end of the podcast. So you've got a week of.
I'm also quite clammy because I'm in my pod booth.
Yes, which is the photo you sent me is absolutely unbelievable. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's not for viewers' eyes because for some reason I am wearing less clothes than I should be.
Yes, you really were. But yes, all good fun. But thank you so much for listening, everybody. Josh, have you got anything else you'd like to say before we finish off this episode of the Football Talk podcast?
K and E and a T and a T, E and R and ING, T and O and WN, Kettering Town, FC. That is from James Acaster's stand-up on Netflix. Give it a watch. He's a very funny man.
And on that note, we're out. Catch you all next week. Thank you so much for listening. Josh, I hope you're waving.
I'm waving.